So, in what way does your product use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? Well, my teaser trailer, to start with, I think uses Bart's action enigma codes quite effectively, because it makes the audience ask a lot of questions, as a teaser trailer is designed to do. So hopefully the fact that mine would make the audience ask, who is Jenny, what's going on, who's the person chasing her and why, says to me that the action codes and enigma codes that it uses well. The lighting in the trailer is really low key, but this is something I've done on purpose, because that's it's a horror genre convention, because a lot of the teaser trailers you see have got a lot of low lighting in it, like the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 2003. It's got really long sections of just blackness, darkness, because a lot of horror films, in fact the vast majority of horror films you see, if not completely set during the night, are set at points at night, and the scariest parts of the film are at night, which is why I've used that and I've put it into my teaser trailer, because it should signal to the audience that this is a horror film and that it is scary. And it's just one of those conventions that you really don't notice, but it's there, and it's what really helps the audience kind of get into the mood of being scared. The underscore that I've used too is something that is quite conventional in terms of horror films, because it's really low, it's really bassy, it's really atmospheric, and it's got that really long, kind of just one long, deep, low tone throughout the entire thing. And it's the sort of thing that really kind of builds up tension. I think it builds up the atmosphere and the whole kind of palpable tension of the whole thing, because it's that same similar sort of tone that you get in a lot of horror films and teaser trailers that kind of signal to the audience that something bad is about to happen, something scary is about to happen. So I really think that that is the sort of thing that helps my teaser trailer to help kind of get that tension built up, and it really is a sort of thing that you'd see in a lot of teaser trailers and you see in a lot of horror films. So it's really good to me that it's come off so well, and hopefully that it's worked for the audience as well, because it builds attention from the moment you start watching the teaser trailer. The voiceover too, that's something that's maybe a little bit unconventional in terms of the horror teaser trailer, because a lot of the horror teaser trailers have some kind of dialogue, but it's usually between two characters. Like in The Last Exorcism, for instance, that's always it's really between the two protagonists. But with my voiceover, it's just the one character and the caretaker, and it's kind of extracted from a scene, so the trailer can feel like a scene as well as feeling like a teaser trailer, which I think works quite well. And so yes, it's a conventional thing to have a voiceover and have a scary voiceover, but it's a not so conventional thing to have just the one character speaking. There's no discourse in terms of voiceovers, even though there is the kind of whimpering and screaming of the female character of Jenny. My location, although it is quite conventional to have horror set in schools, my location is a little bit unconventional because the whole thing is set in a school, apart from really the beginning of the film itself that would be set kind of at home maybe. But for the teaser trailer, the purpose of the teaser trailer, the entire thing is set in school, because it's the perfect platform to connect with the audience straight away, because everyone in the audience will have been to school or will still be at school, and therefore they will really kind of know what it feels like to be at school, and some of them maybe even know what it feels like to be at school at night, which again is something that helps, because it's that familiar setting that makes it that much scarier. And yeah, so to have the whole teaser trailer in the school, maybe a little bit unconventional because it doesn't show anything else, whereas most other trailers do show other things. They have a kind of like a setting, they set the scene at the beginning of the trailers, and mine doesn't. It really just jumps straight into the action, which I think is really kind of powerful, and it helps get the fear factor there straight away, because it's not a very long trailer, so it needs to have something there straight away. It doesn't have the time to really kind of set the scene as you'd get with a normal length trailer, which is why I've put it in a film straight away, straight away the whole way through, and I think that it really helps and it really works. The editing of my teaser trailer too has got some kind of conventional aspect to it, and but I think it goes further than the traditional editing of a teaser trailer, and in specifically a horror teaser trailer, because it's got such a wide range of pace. You know, it can start out with the shots of the caretaker. It's always very slow, very calm, very collected, but then you quickly go to the shots of Jenny, and it's kind of fearful, and you hear it, you hear the whole, you know, the whimpering and the really heavy breathing. To have that juxtaposition, I think, is quite an effective tool to use for the audience to get the fear straight away, because it's not just all happening on at once. There's that difference, so the audience can catch their breath between the, you know, the really fast pacey bits. That in itself helps build the tension and really help kind of get that fear out of the audience. Also, the jump cuts, I think, are quite an effective tool to use, because it shows a kind of almost continuity throughout the latter half of the trailer, even though you don't see certain parts of it because it is total darkness, and yet the sound continues throughout all of the jump cuts, which I think really helps, because it does give that continuity to the audience, and even though they don't see things, they'll still hear it. And I think that as well kind of helps the tension build and the fear build, because of the fact you can't see it, and it plays on the whole fear of the dark concept, and all that sort of thing really helps towards getting that atmosphere of the teaser trailer for the audience. The way characters are represented in my teaser trailer, I think, is really conventional in terms of the way the good guy in terms of characters is a girl. She's a young girl, she's an attractive girl, and you know, she gives off that impression of being vulnerable and innocent. And the bad guy, it seems, is kind of an older, scarier, creepier, uglier person. In this case, a person of lower social standing, as it is in a lot of cases, and it's the caretaker. And that's something that I really kind of wanted to use and wanted to bring out, because the audience would be able to relate with those sorts of things, and because they've seen it before in other horror films, they've seen it before in things like Sorority Row and say Saw, because they'll have all these different social standings and all that kind of that familiarity of the sterile sort of environment of a hospital or a school. And it's that sort of thing, I think, having the characters represented as innocent and vulnerable, and having other characters represented as powerful and in control. That's the sort of thing that will help build atmosphere and build tension, because the audience are used to it, and because the audience know what to expect when characters are represented in that way. In terms of my ancillary tasks being conventional, I really wanted just to get the poster and the magazine front cover as conventional as possible, and really kind of hit home that kind of advertising campaign aspect that I was going for with my film. And we start with the poster. I think it's a pretty conventional poster. In some ways it's not, but in most of the ways it is. For instance, I'll start with in the not conventional, because you've got, in a lot of posters you'll have, say, just one character on there. Say the orphanage, it's just got the one character on there, the one woman. And you know, also with, say, the Crazies, you've got just the one kind of rake and the leg. But in my poster you've got both the face of Imi Harvey's character Jenny, and also to the other half of the picture you've got the foreboding kind of silhouette of the caretaker. And I think that in itself is quite a striking image, especially with the way the colour changes throughout the photo. It's really bright and yellow and kind of in your face with Jenny's character, and also but it changes to kind of dark and bluey and foreboding with the caretaker's character. So I think that is something that's a little bit unconventional, a little bit out there, and I really like the way that photo came out. And but you know, in terms of the rest of the poster, it's really, really conventional. It's got a lot of dark in it. It's got a lot of red in terms of, you know, the colour schemes of it. It's really conventional in terms of the way horror posters come out, like The Breed, like The Orphanage, like Friday the 13th, all those things. They've got dark, really kind of grubby feels to them, with the red, which, you know, you could say represents blood. It's just something that stands out, I think. And my poster's no different. It's got the dark at the really top and bottom of the poster, and it's got the red of the surnames of the actors' names, the date, and the tagline, and also the main title as well. It's all in red. So, and I really think those things kind of jump out to you, when the consumer was to look at it, it really would jump out. And I think that works really, really well. Also, it's, you know, it's got the billing block, which I had to go on defont.com to find, which it's kind of like, I tried to get a long and tall and thin font, which was the sort of the conventional font to use in all movie posters, and the way you did it was all kind of, it was quite difficult to begin with, but once you kind of understood it, once you used it in Photoshop and had the kind of template going, it worked. I think it's come out really, really well. Also, I've got my production companies there underneath the billing block, which was again something relatively simple. I just had to get a random shape from the shapes tool in Photoshop, and then just write anything I really wanted next to it. So so I just made up a couple of production companies. I've got the website in there as well, and I've put that right next to the date, and the date's is bigger than everything around it, so that should stand out more than the other things around it, and that's kind of what I designed it to do. So hopefully, glad that works. Touch wood. It's also got the reviews of the different couple of different magazines on there, and that's the sort of thing to tell the audience that this film is good, and it's really sort of there to sell the audience to the people. If it looks as though it's got critical acclaim, more people want to go and see it. So for my magazine front cover, I really wanted that too to be quite a conventional thing, and so I wanted to have a striking main image that would really kind of grab the consumer's attention and grab the individual's attention when it's looking at it on a magazine shelf. And so for the main image I've just got the head of Giles Gear, of the caretaker, and I just put that on there, and I've faded to black around all of it. And so the art is really drawn just to this head in the middle of the page of the front cover, and I think that works really well because it could signal to audience something along the lines of Empire when they did the Dark Knight special edition, and they had just the head of the antagonist, the Joker, Heath Ledger's character, the Joker there, and I think that was a really, really good front cover, a really powerful front cover. So I've tried to kind of emulate that in mine, using the bad guy, if you would, as the main person on the front cover, even though the main character is Jenny. But hopefully I think that's worked very well. Again, I've gone for a darker background and with red titles for my main title, the name, the masthead, for the magazine called Final Cut, because that stands out as well. You know, it's something that you've got all over the place. You've got it in newspapers like The Sun, you've got it in magazines like Empire and like Total Film. You've got a really striking masthead in terms of contrasting to the background, because it stands out on a shelf. It's really exaggerated on a shelf, and it will make people want to pick it up and have a look and buy the magazine. So that's why I've put that there. I've got a little line above there with the horror event of the year. That too is something to make the audience excited about what's going on inside the magazine. I've got my main cover line with No Way Out as the main cover line, because that's what you should have. It should be the title of the film, the main feature of the magazine, and the film inside, and that's why it's No Way Out. It's also got two smaller cover lines above and below, because I think that really is those two are the ones that link to the main cover line the most, because they really kind of explain what the main cover line's about. I've also got other little cover lines which talk about what else is inside the magazine. Again, something that's designed to draw the audience in and want to look more at what's inside the magazine by literally listing the names of things that are inside. The audience, the consumer, will want to buy it and have a look inside. And that's why I've got those in there, so that they really do want to know more about what's going on inside, especially where you don't just have films, you've got like new Blu-ray releases and things like that, to really kind of broaden the appeal of the magazine, which I think hopefully has worked really well. I've got my selling line, I've got my date line, all there underneath the masthead, so that those are the closest things that you would see after reading the masthead, and hopefully you'd understand what they're about and how much it costs, and it's easy to see what the website is and how much it will cost and what the date is and things like that, and the barcode's there on the bottom right hand corner as well, so that that's easy to see. And that's, you know, just one of the conventions that you find in magazines. It's always on the right hand side or the bottom right hand corner, I find, especially with, say, Total Film or Empire, which is the look that I'm going for. And so I think it's come off quite well, hopefully, because it is quite conventional. It's got all the things that every magazine front cover has, and they all hopefully go together quite well, and they've got the same sort of theme throughout